Patil sir, Sanganauda Patil sir.
Good evening. Good evening all. This is Naim Inamdar, host for today. So,
Sir,
yes,
hello.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can you guide Sadanand sir to share presentation?
Oh, sure, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you.
I think sir is not there.
No, I'm
Yeah,
there. I'm there.
Okay, 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 fine. Sir, just could you click on the share the screen?
No, but this is present now or share the screen?
You can share present now. In that you have your entire screen, a window or a tab. If you select entire screen, the complete screen will be
Entire
visible.
screen, yeah.
Or
Yes.
else you can select a window.
No, I select, okay, I can select a window.
Then you can select on the where you have started the PPT. That window you have to select.
Okay, right. This one?
I can't see actually. Otherwise, you can share it complete screen, entire screen. That will be better.
Okay, just a minute. Entire screen, yeah. Ms. Patil?
Sir, it's not visible. Like
Not visible. Yeah. Select a tab preview. Yeah. Okay, Windows, I should Chrome tab.
Sir, you have any desk so that I can help you out.
I am not getting it actually.
Any desk is similar to your team viewer.
Any desk I don't have.
Oh.
If not, what we'll do? Can you share that PPT to us? We'll share from here. You can.
I'll just mail it to you.
No issues, sir. No issues. You can mail.
Just give me some time. I'll just immediately.
Okay. Naeem, what you can do is you can share that PPT.
Okay, this is the PPT. No, but share where exactly? Share this thing.
No, sir. You just mail us. We'll share from our side.
Just mail. Okay. Yeah.
Naeem, you can share that. Huh?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'll just mail it. Just 2 minutes. Yeah. Mr. Asif, you got it?
1 minute, sir. 1 minute. You have mailed it to cv.mumin, sir?
I had your mail ID. That is where I
Ah,
sent it.
cv.mumin?
No, I just forwarded to one of your mails which you had shared with me earlier. Actually, we had communicated. Huh? You didn't get it?
No, still not.
Sent from my end. I'll reconnect again. Actually. Okay. You got it, Mr. Asif?
No, sir. Still not.
Just a minute. Let me just check. It's already gone from my end.
To
Can you-
which mail you have sent, sir?
I'll just let you know. Just,
I have also not received.
I think this is save. This cv.moment BLD.
Correct, but I have not received still. Let me.
And it was 1 minute. Let me just check. So yeah, it's sent to cv.moment at PLDACT.in. Should I forward again?
Can you just forward, or I think you have. Can you forward again, sir? Yes.
Yeah. That is BLDACT. I have to send it for that. Huh? Okay. Yeah. The message is sent.
Still. You have sent through mobile or laptop, sir?
From my laptop.
Laptop. I think still have not received.
The mail ID is showing.
Sir, I have just mailed you hi, stating hi. Can you reply to that by
Okay.
attaching the file? Have you received
Through
just see?
WhatsApp?
No, sir. Through
Mail only. Okay.
through mail only. If you have WhatsApp, you can just
No,
WhatsApp.
I will do that also. No, I got it. I got your mail.
You can reply to that
I'll
mail, sir.
attach. Yeah. I'll attach for that. Reply. Got it?
Refreshing, just wait, sir. Yes, I have received.
Yeah.
Naeem, can you share this file now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It's just a reference presentation anyway. I'll be taking it further ahead actually. So, yeah. Yeah.
Once again, I welcome all the participants for this 2 week online 2 week AICT sponsored Atal FDP on sustainable construction issues, challenges, and the technological development in decarbonization. So today we have a session by Dr. Sadanand Baikot sir on topics on sustainable construction. So before moving on to the session, I would like to call Dr. A.S. Chansali ma'am to welcome the participant.
Thank you, Naeem. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. So good evening to one and all. On behalf of BLDA Management and Department of Civil Engineering, myself and my entire team of Atal FDP, we welcome you all to this 2-week AICT sponsored Atal FDP on sustainable construction, issues and challenges and technological development in decarbonization. Before entering the FDP first day, I would first of all like to thank AICT and Atal section for granting us this FDP and allowing us for conducting it. And I would like to thank our management for supporting us throughout this and helping us in managing this entire FDP. And I would like to thank Mr. Sadanand Baikot, who on just one call agreed to be our first resource person of this entire online FDP. So on behalf of everybody, once again, I welcome you to this 2-week long FDP, wherein we will be discussing about sustainable construction, green buildings, then decarbonization process, carbon trading, and so many things. So hoping that this FDP will be a knowledgeable process for everyone, I request our coordinator, Dr. Asif Momin sir, to detail you regarding the FDP and also introduce our resource person. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, madam. I welcome all the participants, and I also welcome Dr. Sadanand Baikot ji for this first session of FDP. I like to introduce Sadanand Baikot for all the.
Not Dr. Sadanand, it is Sadanand Baikot.
Sorry, because all the resource persons are doctorate here.
Yeah.
So sorry to say it's Dr. Sadanand, but still with your experience, sir, you are more than the doctorate now for us. Thank you. Sadanand Baikot ji is a civil engineer by qualification with over 37 years of rich experience in hospitality, real estate, and infrastructure sectors. He has been instrumental in transforming the landscape of organizations with his passion and entrepreneur skills. He has directed complex developments like hospitality projects, real estate, high-end residential and mixed-use developments, right from project viability, concept, design development, statutory approvals, value engineering, and contracts management with successful implementation till handling over to end users and to the facilities team and guiding them forward. He has exposure in high-rise building construction with special forms systems like slip forms and jump forms. His skills, expertise, and leadership thereby has resulted in successfully developing the properties and leading to the growth of organization and simultaneously developing the business to the next level. Few of the important projects assignment successfully completed and majorly associated in key positions are Ananda in Himalayas destination, Spa in Rishikesh, Hyatt Regency, a 410 base 5-star hotel in Mumbai, and many more. Sir has been enthusiastic towards updating and gaining latest developments in the industry and have attended important conferences like tall building construction and infrastructure development at Seoul and Singapore. He has successfully implemented a profitable and futuristic smart industry and intelligent technology for RCC, precast, manufacturing, from viability to negotiating and finalizing and procuring machineries, installation, testing, commissioning, and thereafter creating a motivated design team, manufacturing team, and an on-site erection team for load-bearing RCC wall and hollow core slab for villas and high-rise apartments, and successfully completed execution as well. He has passion to gain more and more knowledge on technology, and has taken him to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Kuala Lumpur, etc. Sir has experience of getting the residential projects designed for water and energy conservation to ensure future sustainability. He has associated with more than 5 million square feet of projects designed for green building sustainability across India in the recent past. Sir is a member of and accreditation of many bodies such as Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, accredited professional of Indian Green Building Council, IGBC, proficiency certificate holder on financial management from Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. Sir is presently working as a consultant in real estate industry. He is associated with Good Time Real Estate Development Private Limited, both fund managers and investors, along with Pennsylvania Land Limited. Sir has served in different sectors at different levels and positions. Few of them are CEO South G Corp Developers Private Limited, Bengaluru, MD G Corp Homes Private Limited, Bengaluru, CEO Director G Corp Space Private Limited, Bengaluru, CEO and Executive Director Supertech Limited, Noida, NCR, and many more. With this, I would like to welcome our first resource person, Sadanand Backward, sir. Welcome, sir, and thank you for accepting our invitation for becoming the first resource person of this FDP. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Asif Mohammed, sir. Now I request Mr. Sadanand Backward, sir, to start with the presentation.
Naeem, one minute, sir. Sorry for the disturbance. Actually, this is the first day. I need to speak about FDP one. Can you give me 2 minutes to talk about FDP?
Please.
Thank you. This FDP is sponsored by AICT Atal, which is Sustainable Construction Issues, Challenges and Technological Development in Decarbonization. It is divided into 2 weeks. 1 week is online, which starts from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. From today, this date, 20th to 25th February 2023. We have many sessions in this week. All are online. We have Sadanand Backward for the first, next Purva Keskar, Vikas Chandra, Nabil Hussain. We have resource persons from industry as well as the academicians. The second week is offline, wherein the participants has to join in the BLDACT in our institute for the second week, which starts from 27th of February to the 3rd March, which is of 5 days. Week 1 online is 6 days, but week 2 offline is 5 days, Monday to Friday. In this week, offline, the participant has to join in BLDACT, and per day we have 2 resource persons, and 1 day we have industry visits even. In the second week, the objective of the second week is to have the training sessions as well as other sessions like visits and all. And even we have the participants to review 2 of the articles here. We have selected 2 articles on sustainable construction, and those articles has to be reviewed from all the participants, and they have to write the outcomes of it during the stay in our college. Most importantly, the participants has to have continuous comprehensive assessment in this program, where attendance is taken into account. 2 assessments will be there, one after each week, which is of MCQ type. 2-page article summary will be there, wherein they have to write per team, wherein 2 members will be allocated per team, and the participants has to write the outcome of those articles. And in addition to this, we have even sessions on teaching practices. The IICT has also instructed us to have a few topics on teaching methodology, wherein we have our in-house resource person, Dr. M.I. Sakri sir, wherein he will be taking about the teaching practices. This will also be accounted in the assessment sessions, assessment of the participants. We have industrial visit, wherein the participant has to write the report for industrial visit, which is taken as 10% for the assessment. And finally, the reflection journal. Reflection journal is the participant has to write the outcome of this FDP in a page. Right. So with all these 6 parameters, the assessment will be done and the certificate will be issued. So this is outcome based FDP, wherein the involvement of participants will be there both in online as well as in offline mode. We have total 44 participants within the 100 kilometers range from the Bijapur district, and even we have participants beyond 100 kilometer range where they have requested, and they will be joining even for the offline session. But the restriction is within the 100 kilometers. But still, few of the participants with the topic with this topic of our FDP, they have requested us to join into the FDPs, which they are beyond. We have taken permission for them, and they will be joining us. They have already joined in the online session also. With this, I hope all the participants will be fully enthusiastic in the online as well as in the offline mode. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak about this FDP. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Naeem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for briefing about the FDP. Now, I request Mr. Sadanand Baikot, sir, to start with the session. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Hello, good evening, everybody. And let me first thank Anurag Madam and Mr. Asif Momin to being in touch with me and then asking me to just share my knowledge. I'm happy to do that. So I also thank your institute for giving me an opportunity to share my knowledge, because I felt actually, this is a very important subject where the whole future of our next generations is dependent on this. And so we need to involve more and more in future, and it is going to be more and more mandatory also, even from the government, and we become helpless without implementing these sustainable measures. Maybe it is extremely difficult for the next generation to survive also. Actually, I hope you all will agree. You have been reading into various articles, newspapers across the world, what exactly is happening on the sustainability. And our industry, the construction industry, is the major contributor in creating problems. It's an unfortunate thing. Fortunate in terms of, it is throwing up lots of opportunities for the people to grow and then be engaged. And simultaneously, it is throwing lots of unwanted challenges wherein, we are knowingly or unknowingly contributing into, destructing the environment. Very extremely sorry state of situation, but we have chance and challenge as well. The today's whole subject is, I believe, is on issues and challenges. Decarbonization and carbonization is, honestly speaking, it is not. I won't be touching it. The future speakers will be touching that subject. And one more request for all you all, let us make it a more interactive. Actually, it is, I will be touching first on a macro level and then get into the micro level. So please, raise queries, share your experiences also, so that it becomes more interactive. And because on a virtual speaking, most of the times, when a single person keeps speaking, actually, it becomes extremely difficult how the reactions will be of the people actually. And I need your feedbacks also in between, if you want to share anything on the subject matter when I'm speaking. And now coming to the sustainability, it is a societal goal. What is the meaning of sustainability? It is a societal goal that relates to the ability of people to exist on earth over a long time. And wherein the construction is the industry which is more contributing both ways. Construction industry has a lot to contribute for the sustainability as in today's date. I mean, considering what is happening across the world, specifically for construction industry, it's creating projects which provides positive outcomes for the residents and users and occupants of the society and the environment as well. Actually, now let me come to the what, before going into the characteristics, the sustainability situation on green building construction, everything started sometime around early 2000s in the industry. So at that time, very less is known. In fact, lead USGBC started sometime in late 90s. They also came into India, and there are various organizations which formed to facilitate and then educate people. That is how it started. Honestly speaking, when I started talking about green buildings or green sustainability, everything sometime in 2005 6, the response factor was extremely poor actually. I mean, most of the developers in the industry were not so keen. And even as on today's date, it is unfortunate. Everyone wants it for the marketing purpose, but the implementation part is extremely poor. It takes lots of toll on people who wants to implement it. Though it is not a rocket science, it is not a rocket science at all. Actually, it is just a simple subject to be implemented in the design stages, which has got a major benefits, and to be implemented during execution phases and passing it on to the facilities who operate the properties. Actually, I'll come to that in detail. So what are the characteristics of a sustainability? Minimize resource consumption. We have to conserve as much as possible. Otherwise, if we consume and finish it off, there will be challenges. Demand supply gaps will arise, and environmental destructions would happen. All those things will start. And maximize our resources, reuse. How much ever we reuse them, that will help us a lot. And use renewable and recyclable resources. That is, renew and recycle. Protect the natural environment. We need to protect as much as possible the natural environment. In the sense, we should not disturb or destruct the natural topographies, the geographies, the green covers. That is possible only if someone thinks of designing the footprint of any construction activities in such a way that we don't touch much of it. So this is going to be the most important topic actually in terms of sustainability. Then create healthy and non-toxic environment. The kind of material what we are using in our construction industry, they are also posing heavy health issues basically for majorly for the people who are associated in the industry, majorly for the people who are working in the industry as labor force. Later on, the occupants who use them actually indirectly, they without understanding, they end up in suffering out of that, as well as even the byproducts, the raw materials what we use into the construction industry, they are also emanating lots of toxicity. And pursue quality in creating the built environment. Built environment is basically during construction or prior to your doing your homework and post construction. The whole environment, we should maintain the quality in such a way that we end up in handling and managing the entire destruction factors, the health issues and everything in a proper way, so that we all remain healthy and then be happy with that actually. So these are, conserve, reuse, renew, recycle, protect the nature, non-toxic, built environment. These are the main features one has to first, look into it and go much more deeper into it as and when one has to get if he has to implement it. So these are the characteristics of the sustainability in construction. Next slide. Yeah. And I'm just first touching on the macro level. The micro level will come to that actually. What is way ahead for sustainable construction? Present status: the increased construction activities will increase the waste, which will eventually destroy the natural resources and wildlife habitat. Over 70% of the land habitat from the next 10 to 15 years. It is not your next 10 to 15 years. It is next to 10 to 12 years, I would say. Production of transport of construction material consumes 25 to 50% of the energy being used. in terms of the fuel consumption and all those factors. The construction industry, it counts about 40 to 45% of the CO2 emission. Then this is the present status, on sustainability. Now, what are the benefits actually? Benefits by adopting sustainable construction benefits such as lower cost, environmental protection, energy conservation, reduction of waste material will take place. And most important factor is opportunity to create space for our future generations to survive. Otherwise, we will be leaving no scope for them to sustain and survive, beyond a point. You might be, we used to understand, about 40, 50 years back, people used to, the average age of the living of the people was around 50, 60 years. At that time, there was nothing of this nature, but ultimately there was, it was all growing phase. There were lots of, pandemic, epidemics used to come, people didn't used to survive. The medicines were not there. But today's date, we end up in having everything in our hands, but the way we are developing, progressing in terms of, these developments, what is happening, itself is going to kill us back. Is going to reduce the average age of people. If there is no water available, what to do? And if there is no, and one cannot, I mean, ultimately it leads to a chaotic situation. People may start killing each of them also, I can see. I mean to say next 20 to 30 years, if we don't handle it well, actually, seriously, and with all care and passion, we need to handle this environment. Let us go to the next slide. And and to create and now what are the other way ahead? How come as a society, the government, the various bodies are contributing and have to be aggressive in contributing? Basically, now it is a serious call for a unique national strategy for sustainable development is essential. Even though there are multiple organizations like Indian Green Building Council, Green Rating Integrated Habitat GRA Assessment, the Energy and Resources Institute, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, they are all contributing from different angles. But actually, there has to be like a, like Aadhaar number or something like that, wherein identification becomes uniform across the country. Such unique, policies have to be formed. Though there are there in approvals and everything, like, there are certain certain mandatory requirements have been placed, but that is still not sufficient actually. And before going ahead with this issues, challenges, and sustainability, I would rather say actually, we should bring in these green initiatives into our regular curriculum as a subject by itself. Today's date, what happened, we engineers or technical people in the construction industry more specifically are learning while we are working and trying to understand while we are in the process of a survival in our professions. But if it is a subject by itself for the fresh engineering students, graduates during their curriculum, they end up in understanding it much more in a much more better way. So from that perspective, whatever you all are doing, through FDP programs, slowly take it into the regular curriculum as a subject by itself. I mean, that would make a huge difference for the future environmental sustainability. Now, what are the issues and challenges of sustainability during construction? One is the noise pollution, disturbance to the natural topography. Now, coming to the noise pollution, to explain it in detail, though while we get our approvals and everything properly, noise pollution definitely creates lots of problems for the surrounding habitat, people who are staying in the neighborhood, and then it indirectly impacts the hearing efficiency of any human being. That is why I'm telling it is not a rocket science. The subject is not a rocket science. Somewhere the people have to try to understand. Actually, I need to contribute in such a way. The development has to be done in such a way that it will not affect the surrounding neighborhood, habitat, or across everywhere. Because sometimes you all must have experienced in your life. Actually, this is what has to be conveyed to our next generation, which is going to come across, and that needs to be implemented strictly. So when we are working on a project budget or something like that, we don't, most of the times people won't take care of these costs. How to muffle the sound, how to muffle the sound which is going out, what are the timings to be operated, all these things will not be taken care of. Or they work on spending money for their development, but this is, though remains for a period of 1 or 2 years or 3 4 years of the project duration, but noise pollution control during that time is most important to help others to survive and sustain efficiently. Today's date, if you even go ahead, literally you can take a samples of people who have worked in the construction industry over a period of 10 15 years or also, you know if you go and take their hearing test, definitely you will realize what exactly is happening. And the same thing is getting extended to the neighborhood as well. So this needs to be seriously thought of actually. And disturbance to the natural topography, this is one of the most important topic. And while, when we if someone is having a parcel of land about 10 acres or 20 acres, and if it is having lots of trees and everything, we all do the tree survey, we all do the green survey and everything, but irrespective of that, how much of the entire topography we retain it as undisturbed, and then use the portion to such an extent so that that natural topography remains, the development also takes place. That will help from the futuristic point of view. But unfortunately, it's not happening. In fact, we are actually converting the agricultural lands and going ahead with the constructions. I mean, that is unfortunate part, and it is a challenge, and it is possible to do it. I will give you certain examples, like when we were executing the project Ananda in the Himalayas at Rishikesh. It was in the uphills, it was in the forest area, and we were developing the property. I hope I'll share my experiences, so that will give much more better clarity. I hope it will be good for you, and you can ask queries also during that time. So we were executing a project. It was a thick forest. It was a property of a Maharaja of Terry, wherein the existing structure, the palace property, we repaired it and we used it for the hotel project, and the rest of the property we constructed. The way we did the development there was actually, we used to have 5 to 6 30 40 years old trees in the foundation zones. We literally used to tie the rope, guide on the ground, hold the trees, and then take up excavation, construct that particular footing, and then come up, fill it up, and then ensure that the trees doesn't fall. And it didn't take much time. Most of the times, what happens, the industry people start thinking, it's a cost, it takes time, we end up in losing our investment. It's, honestly speaking, it doesn't happen. One has to have a will to do it. It happens because, so I still remember in one of the foundation we had got 6 to 8 trees, 30 to 40 years old trees around that foundation, which was coming up actually for one of the structures. We could manage it comfortably without any assets. And by the time the project ended, that once you retain all these, the entire natural topography and the surrounding zone, one need not have to literally spend again additionally onto the landscaping. There is a positive side also to that actually. The cost of the project will never go up. There is some amount of indirect savings also happening due to this. And it does indirectly bring in the profitability for the business, because it's from the day when it starts looking natural. So what I'm trying to explain here is, as the professionals, when we get into a project, how I can maintain the natural topography by eliminating the notion or a wrong thinking of why should I do this, it costs me money, let us manage it, let us hoodwink. It is not necessary. If one thinks actually, it will not impact the business. It starts contributing to the business, because whenever a major development happens across, the last activity is the hardscape. softscape as well as the hardscape, entire landscape part. If I maintain my natural topography in such a way without touching it, that itself is going to contribute a lot. One need not have to go in and spend money to develop further onto the hardscape part actually. But this part has to be still thought of. Okay, instead of bringing in the curated design into your landscape and everything, it's better to maintain the natural topography. But to handle and manage and maintain is not going to be so easy. But there has to be a dedication. There has to be a proper planning, how to cover those trees, plants, and everything. Till that time, how you should manage and maintain the whole situation around. It needs treatment. The trees. Normally, what happens? I'll tell you. To give you an example, if there's a tree around, what happens? The first thing is the reinforcement guy go and comes and puts his tia, around that tree, touching, nailing it. They even put nails onto the trees and everything, and then hook their shirts, all other things. So right from the day one, even if it's a standing big tree, which they can't cut it because of the mandatory requirement, they start indirectly destroying it. They start killing it. So all these aspects needs to be looked into. How we can protect that. A simple tree guard will help to protect that tree properly, undisturbed, without any damages. Okay. For this, everyone likes nature. Like everyone wants to go out and enjoy the nature, but indirect on the other side, we are destroying the nature which is within us during our construction. So we, as a construction engineer, should think whether are we really contributing, or are we neutralizing our contribution, or we are destroying more. These are the factors, and introspection is needed. And this needs to be inculcated into the thoughts and minds of the people while they are studying only. So these are the practical situations which I have come across. I'm sharing. That will give more clarity. I hope you are recording this so that that will help. One can review it and hear this audio again and again actually, because it's very difficult to write down all these experiences.
Yes, we are recording.
Yeah, and the next is we talked about noise pollution. We talked about disturbances to natural topography. Then the topsoil. Anybody knows what is the topsoil? I would request it to be more interactive actually. Whatever it is actually, you may be wrong, right, immaterial. I also end up in learning from you if you start speaking out. Anybody knows what is the topsoil? Yeah, you can raise your hands also. The topsoil is basically, before starting any construction, there are lots of lands, agricultural lands are being, actually converted, and then they go ahead with the construction. But no one ever has thought the top 6 to 8 inches of the soil, which is having lots of minerals and which will contribute for the, our agricultural produce, which is excavated and mixed up and then thrown out. But for that soil to come to that level of high mineral, rich minerals and everything, it takes years and ages of the time actually. And imagine the farmer dependent onto that actually, who grows our food resources and everything. If someone buys that property, gets the conversion done, and then go ahead, excavates, and then starts constructing the basement. So that topsoil basically has to be, one can comfortably remove the top 8 inches soil, store it at one place, and then reuse it for their own landscape, or even donate it or sell it if required to a farmer, to his another farm or somewhere nearby actually. This way we end up in developing our property. Also we end up in retaining the natural resource which is already existing by using it elsewhere. This is called a sustainability basically. So it looks very simple. It looks jokish, but one has to think about it. Without thinking, I was also not aware. 20 years back, I was also not aware. We used to exploit it. Subsequently, when we start looking into that, it makes sense. Normally, during construction, at the end of the project, the developers or the engineering team which is working on the project, they hunt for they purchase the soil, the material, bringing it from a distance, actually. So which would have been, that cost could have been saved actually by storing it at one particular point and holding it at one location till such time it is needed actually. So these aspects have to be looked into seriously and to be taught to our coming generations. Right? So that is one part. Then soil erosion. Soil erosion is one more, again, the same thing actually. There are lots of soil get eroded during construction if we don't handle our project boundaries in a systematic way. So that is again the loss of soil, everything gets disturbed. It is again similar to that topsoil management only. The next thing is the dust and the debris management. The dust and debris during construction is basically because of the negligence factor. And we still adopt the age old construction methods because the labor works out cheaper. Otherwise, we would be knowing about the technologies which are available. So we end up in doing a typical way of executing. Even if we do a typical way of execution, if we spray water onto the soil strata and do, manage it, the spread of dust will reduce. Because dust itself is a major killer. Unfortunately, our Indian cities are also like that actually. We can't, one has to start thinking how to reduce the dust level. This again, it is a health issue. We won't be knowing during our younger ages, but we start realizing over a period of time. Debris management is again, lots of construction waste gets generated during the process of construction actually. So now what is happening nowadays, we are identifying the landfills, we are going ahead and dumping it over there. But we are not thinking of reusing it, recycling it. Like even, when while concreting, there are lots of concrete waste, gets generated. The waste gets dumped at points and ultimately we spend energy, like electrical energy, to break it and then take it and throw it in a soil fill. Imagine the kind of destruction process which is happening while constructing something unique. For every engineer, his project will be a unique project. He will be contributing. We talk lots of contribution. I did a five-star hotel. I did a 70-story structure. I did, this office complex to me. Sorry, I lost in between. You able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We are indirectly, causing heavy destruction for our next generations actually to come. So basically, these unique things have to be thought of. Exactly the dust and the debris has to be managed. Even to an extent, people fail to cover the trucks while they are carrying out the debris actually. It happens in other sectors, other issues also. I won't be touching it because the subject is basically we as construction engineers, how to contribute in sustaining the environment. That is what I'm talking about. So it is not, and even there are lots of waste material to be used, could be reused, but it is not being thought of so seriously by anybody. We find the shortcuts, remove it, spend more money, and then create more debris actually. If we adopt the newer technologies like precast technology, I'm talking, precasting is existing since ages actually. I'm not talking about the conventional precast method where you cast and then lift it with a column frame structure. Nowadays, there are in certain countries actually what happens because they are much more advanced, 40, 50 years advanced. The equipments are so well designed and heavy duty ones, they sustain over a period of 30, 40 years. I have seen, the load bearing wall manufacturing unit, the hollow core slab units, which were as old as 35, 40 years in the industry. Why they developed all those things? One is basically there was a need for them because the population was so less, they never used to get a construction labor the way we used to get. That was one more thing. But the equipments were in such a way that even not even a iota of while producing concrete, pouring it and bringing it and pouring it onto an element, the wastage factor used to be not even 1%. Like they are so well designed with sensor operated, proper enclosed covered spaces, and then we used to cast it and take it, ship it, and then erect it. The manpower requirement used to reduce by about 30-40%. One can even reduce it up to 50-60%, but it was not tried out here because again that fear factor will be there. They should not go in the reverse direction. And the quality of work used to be extremely good. I mean, in terms of, I should say, the labor used to be at ease, will be comfortable. He has to only make the element ready, cast it, keep it, and there used to be a proper planning used to happen. Actually. By doing so, the unnecessary damages which used to happen, like you take for an example, if someone is casting a retaining wall, the way one casts that wall and the way if there is some problem happens, the quality will go for a shot. And the concrete, sometimes the concrete mixer nowadays, they come, if some problem is there on the site, the mixer at the end of the day, it cannot go anywhere. One will simply just throw it out and then get away. In a newer technology situations, these things won't happen because the production used to be very small in quantity. It comes through a rail or a rope, through a bucket, and once you are ready, only you go ahead and cast. And these are all well designed equipments with the proper vibrators and everything. Maintenance will be easier. You can take one full day to maintain that entire factory and then construct and take it forward. So all these technological advances, if we implement them, we end up indirectly contributing to the environment in a much more better way. So looking into newer technologies is also equally important, and there are many more ways actually of doing it, actually handling it. But unfortunate part is actually no one is so serious about it because it needs the capital cost initially. But the capital cost will reap profits out of it. But there is no forward thinking. There is no the visionary thinking. That is essential actually. Even today's date, what is happening? The labor is available, but the labor has become more lethargic. They are not so interested in dedicatedly working. Okay, so all these factors, it is a dual, so I mean edge effect actually. Either we are in a position to adopt the new technology seriously or dedicatedly or with a conviction. Neither we are in a position to train the available labor to be more dedicated and more skilled workers with a conviction. So so still we are damaging in the whole process, we are damaging the environment. Whatever we are talking, every across the country we talk about saving, sustainability, what to do. We run for so many situations to show that we are doing a sustainable development. But honestly speaking, it's not happening the way it should have happened because even all these green bodies and everyone came into the industry since 20 years back. They're struggling to make people to focus on. I don't blame this certification bodies and all these people. It is every individual has to start understanding that and take their assistance, help, and then adopt them. Actually, that is not happening. I mean, it is, and then ultimately, we need to think of even not only engineering institutes. We should take this backwards from the school days itself. We should start teaching the children about this, so that we end up in developing in a better way while they are doing their graduations. And once they come out of their institute, they will be in a better position to understand what sustainability is and how to make it as the regular feature into their regular construction activities. So, I mean, similarly, the scrap and waste management. There is so much of scrap and waste management. I would say there is so much of waste getting generated in terms of steel scrap. We take it, re-roll it, and then use it. We say we have re-rolled it and we are contributing. No, I mean, someone within their site, if they manage the reinforcement business very well, if they hired one proper person, dedicated person to handle that part, we can bring in lots of saving and reduce wastage. Because re-rolling is a cost; it is an energy waste actually. Ultimately, something has to be spent onto that to bring it to the re-roll situation. But how we can reduce the quantum of re-rolling? I mean, no, that is most important. So that by reducing the same site will save money. I had, it is very difficult to actually come across contractors like that, but I've seen one in Bangalore sometime in 1988. That guy had brought my entire wastage of scrap steel to 0.5%. Extremely difficult to get it actually. But there are people who are working onto that. That percentage of such contractors, such people, such individuals is extremely low. So this is where again your faculty can take a step forward and then start educating the mass student community which comes out as graduates to look into these aspects. And choice of non-toxic material. This is the choice of non-toxic material is basically to give you an example. When we do an internal painting within the apartments, that will be having a volatile organic compounds. So nowadays, what has happened, the volatile organic compounds, even when they are wet, actually they emanate lots of fumes and smell. You must have seen a freshly painted house or a polished house where we use these petroleum products like adhesives and all those things. They are deterrent. They are deterrent even over years. Actually, even if they are dried, they still keep emitting the toxic waste, which most of us won't be aware actually. So nowadays there are water-based products which are getting developed. So one should focus on work onto that. Unless and until all these situations are not taught, it's extremely difficult for anybody to understand and implement it in their future career. Like when we talk about the paint, actually the paint technology courses must be there. But when we talk about the paint for even for a civil engineer, we may have to teach them what are the ingredients which goes into that material or in adhesives, and how exactly we should work towards a sustainable produced material could be used. Otherwise, I'll tell you, even today, after I being actually into this green initiatives as well as sustainable initiatives and everything, it is extremely difficult for our own team members who associate with me to understand it and implement it, because it is not inculcated. It is like after that at the age of 40, 50, we start learning yoga. We end up in learning, but we won't be doing a fantastic yoga. If someone starts doing yoga at the age of 20 years, it will be entirely different situation story for such an individual. Same thing happens for our environment as well as our construction industry. So, I just broached onto it's a very vast subject. I broached onto a scrap waste of a reinforcement, how exactly it could be done, and all these things. So even then about non-toxic material, choice of non-toxic material, and it is most of the time people won't be aware actually, and sometimes I've even seen actually we need to teach lots of integrity and honesty to the field. Like sometimes just to get a certificate, get to get a final certification, they end up in getting some certificate and showing it. That also happens. I don't say everyone does it, but it is happening actually. So we need to broach upon that subject also actually, to the upcoming, what is the meaning of integrity, what is the meaning of honesty and bringing it. Because when we construct, we should be proud of, your structure lasts for about 50, 60 years. We all feel proud about what we have developed, but we all should proud about how I also ensure that, the environment is saved. I have managed few trees. Those trees are still there. I have managed, to take the topsoil out and then, used it somewhere else, which was of use for some farmer or someone or to your own landscape. That pride factor is still missing. And everyone is busy in their own lives in the construction sites or wherever they are working. But ultimately, but That needs to change, and it doesn't take any extra effort. It takes only proper planning. The way we plan for rest of the activities of our work, this also has to be planned. Nothing beyond that actually. But someone has to work onto that. And so someone has to work onto that. Someone has to keep marketing this situation. The marketing, and someone has to be educated as well, right from their, uh, from their childhood actually. So reduction and reuse of resources. Resource reduction is basically, while manufacturing concrete, we use lots of cementitious material, which is a waste somewhere else. I'll reuse it, and then I reduce the production quantum of the cement. So it is basically, the combination will be like this actually. And even the reinforcement I mentioned, all the scrap could be used for making stirrups and all those things. That additional labor for straightening and everything is hardly anything actually. Sometimes it may not work out, but it is possible to work out. There are even equipments, to prepare rings and everything. Okay, some of the developers, contractors use it because it is a mass production, but no one thinks, it is going to help them as a priority. These things, wastage happening, it will come at the end actually. Ultimately, one will, if someone has brought that machinery to speed up the activity, but not to reduce the wastage. The priority thinking, also the switch has to happen. Okay, then just a minute. Then quality in creating the built environment, that I mentioned. Built environment quality is basically adopting all those things with honesty and integrity, and ensuring that quality standards are maintained actually. Built environment is right from, taking over a site, constructing the compound wall, excavation, execution, and taking it forward till to the handing over of the project and the management of all the above related activities. And the foundation for the real environment savings is the energy conservation actually. These are the physical activities. The energy conservation is basically is in two factors. We use water. Okay, the water wastage, how we can reduce during construction and post construction is a highly important subject. I mean, in nowadays in northern states, actually, the certain governments, our bodies have started insisting the developer to purchase their sewage water, install a sewage treatment plant, treat it, and treated filtered water they can use it for construction. Okay, why? That is available in excess, and that will reduce a burden on the corporation or a government body to spend money onto that. And then, ultimately what they also will do, they treat it, the wastewater will flow away, the treated water. So if someone purchases and does all these things, they indirectly help in saving. And water availability is a extremely difficult situation in most of the projects. They go for borewell drilling, which is technically, actually banned in most of the places, because why touch the underground water when high water wastewater could be used and treated and could be used actually. So one should take pains to understand that if they look forward to an easy thing, just drill a borewell, remove the water, it dries, again drill one more borewell. So we end up in consuming the good water available underground. So most of the streams which are connected somewhere else also will be destroyed. Okay, and we end up in wasting sewage water, which is treated and it goes away out. So one has to think about these issues very seriously. Now coming to the rainwater, during rainy season, what arrangements we make in the construction premises to store water for during construction. I'm all these subject points are related while happening. The construction is happening. We can store it. We can use it for curing purpose. If a muddy water can be used for curing purpose, but one has to again work onto that. While that, because of that, soil erosion also will come under control. We need to do a proper bunds all around and create small streams. Create a sort of a open tank and ensure that the water is guided towards that and use it for your construction activities. Not for concrete, definitely it is a muddy water, but definitely for curing and various other related activities it could be used. So one has to work on how to conserve water during in the construction, and then curing. One more thing I have seen, even the individual houses, and they all think if they cure for 28 days, practically bathing that entire element with that water actually, it's wastage. Basically, we are wasting water. What the purpose of curing is actually to avoid heat of adhesion, so that the entire combination of concrete gets properly reacted and we gain strength and it becomes dense. But most of the times, the supervisory staff on site or the individual construction, most of the other level people won't be knowing about it actually. An unfortunate part, I'll tell you, when I interview lots of people, they won't be able to answer properly what is the purpose of curing. Even if there is the atmospheric humidity is above 60 to 70% in the air, I mean, the first few days curing is enough. Actually, later on, even if we reduce curing slowly, also nothing is going to happen, because at the end of the day, the humidity itself will take care that the water which has gone for it of for the concrete to react will not escape out. Or even a simple tying of the jute bag is enough. I don't say that all these things are not happening, but these things are not happening seriously, mandatorily, and to save water with the intent, tomorrow this water may not be available for me. I mean, these scenarios have to be taken care of. There are one has to, well, before starting, when we plan the construction activities, right from execution, concrete, foundation, various things we plan, planning, Gantt chart or whatever we make. But why we should not also adopt how the water conservation measures have to be implemented, make it as a method statement. There are method statements of various execution of the works. Similarly, the method statements for all these activities also has to be ensured actually, to be made, and it has to come into picture. Then only it works. I've seen, similarly, in post-construction planning is also essential. When I construct a building, water consumption is going to happen forever actually. So what are the measures taken in terms of flow fixtures, what we use into the apartments, regular, all the taps, all the shower heads, all the health faucets, do they have, it's a simple subject, fixing an aerator, so that the pressure remains the same, okay, and the water consumption reduced substantially. What is the consumption of water per flow into the flushing tank, and per minute how many liters of water goes away? Normally, we can comfortably save, if we use the proper the flow fixtures with aerators and everything, we can save about 12 to 20% of water comfortably without any hassle. But there is no seriousness. Someone has to just buy it off even from a market, or house also. Just even in the Amazon, if I hunt for that, 100 rupees, 200 rupees per piece it will come. But someone has to make an effort actually. That effort, even during construction stages, also, for there is so much of apartments, flow fixtures will be fixing. Imagine if we take care of it seriously, how much of water consumption for the future will be implementing. We all know it. I'm not saying anything which is unknown actually, but I'm yet to see the implementation, and it has to happen seriously. All this is possible only if we bring it into a regular curriculum actually. Someone has to study it, give an exam, pass, fail, and then only they realize the seriousness of it actually. And even one more thing, we have to fix up water meters for measuring how much of water has come out of the sewage, treated water, so that, and how much of water has gone into the sewage, and how much of treated water we have used for gardening, how much of treated water used for flushing. By fixing those meters and by educating the end user and the occupant, they will understand, whether they are losing it, they are saving. The regular monitoring process is equally important, and same has to be adopted even during construction also. So that, once we do all these things, I should be aware whether I am really saving or it is being misused or it is leaking elsewhere. Even after adopting all these policies, are we truly saving it, or not? Are we helping in conservation or not? So the monitoring part, by providing proper meters and everything, calibrated meters, of course, are there or not? I mean, say this is sewage water will be of major help nowadays. Even if the sewage water could be even taken to a level of domestic purpose, but okay, in India our sentiments won't permit, but we can comfortably use it for our uh, gardening and flushing. But most of the societies I have seen, what happens because of the lack of knowledge, because of the implementation doesn't happen properly during project stage, because the education further doesn't take it, is not taken forward. Because civil engineers sometimes working as a facility managers, in the maintenance subjects. So their requirement, they need to be aware about that. And managing a sewage treatment plant, if it is managed well, most of the time they shut it off and bypass it basically because the water smells. The water doesn't smell. It is basically the poor management, the poor handling, and poor knowledge on how to run a sewage treatment plant. So these factors are most important and could be adopted into our regular features so that I can save enough and enough of water. Even the rainwater, I would go one more step ahead. Actually, we all should, make our corporators and I hope I'm not going off the subject. Basically, this information will enhance all our individual knowledge so that we can adopt it in our regular curriculum and studies and teaching and all those things. We can even go ahead and ask our corporators and minister. I mean, these people across the city, they can drill, like in houses, what we make is the rainwater harvest pit. Why they should not do it across the city? Actually, the water flows there also during rains. So, the hard-earned tax-paid money of any individual could be utilized much more efficiently. Every city will become more highly water resourced if it is done that way. But somewhere, someone has to start thinking about it. Now, regarding the electrical energy, nowadays, okay, there is lots of impetus is coming on solar power, wind power, and various other things. But we should also have a knowledge about, BEE rated, products. Most of the people have to buy that. They should ensure that, the energy conservation. For that to happen, to give that knowledge, one has to start working. What is that I can say if I use a regular fixture and now? But in electrical sector, actually, there is enough, awareness has been generated, unlike for water. The only reason is the electricity is measured at each and every point. One has to pay for it. In water, it becomes a very common feature, even in apartments also. Every apartment, I should go for it and say every apartment should be provided with a water meter. And nowadays, with apps and everything, it is not so difficult to ensure that the meters, every apartment is charged for water consumption within their apartment. But that is yet to come. So all this awareness has to be generated into ourselves first, and then we should contribute it further to our community or to our young engineers who are coming out of the institute. So, so this I talked about the energy conservation features. And nowadays, when we do the green building implementations, we also work on through a software base actually how the energy saving is going to happen when we adopt various features by using LED lamps, by using BE rated, equipments, where the efficiency of the pumps are take care of. And if we use those products and then use it, the overall saving could be worked out in a percentage with reference to the baseline factors when I use a regular normal equipments and fixtures. But what happens, when we do this now, I've seen most of the times for getting the certification and everything, we do it, but real implementation is still missing, seriously missing, or it gets halfway done, halfway not done. So, that is one part which one has to look into seriously. That is basically because of the lack of knowledge. Everyone is learning in the industry as on today's date while they are working. So it is like half knowledge. Most of the times I've heard people, when you ask for, sustainability, green issues and everything, they only think about plantation. I've seen it happening actually. People won't be aware. It is nothing about plants and trees. It is more about engineering. how we use our resources, how we recycle our resources, how we conserve our resources by proper design, by proper implementation for long term to come actually. So, this is end user, and educating the end user about all these environmental features, that is passing on your project or property to the facility team and for the end user. Someone has to take a stand and a step to educate what I have done, constructed, and implemented. If it has to be of use for the end user, and if he understands that well, if he knows that well, then it works. Unfortunately, that is not happening. We need to create a proper docket and a document and then make them aware about it, actually, what it is. I don't say it is unfortunately not happening because we are not doing it, or the faculty which is developing these projects are not doing it. Sometimes the end user and the residents who are going to use, or the occupant in an office complex who is going to use it also is equally negligent, not serious about that actually. They give damn it because they are getting water today. Tomorrow, if a restricted water supply starts happening, for 1 hour only you get water, for 2 hours there won't be a power supply, automatically they all will start learning about it. So sometimes, rationing is equally important. In certain towns or villages, people are deprived of these facilities, but in bigger cities and towns, they are lavishly using it actually. But that needs to be taught and understood, and we need to get into the feature details of the entire, how to conserve these systems, how to document it, and how to handle it and take it forward. So I am not trying to talk on the statistical part of it. Basically, we need to open up our books, read it, and take it forward. Because I'll give you a nice example. About 12 years back, actually, when we tried to bring in green initiatives into all our projects, when I was in Pune, the mandate, we started talking to our own staff and team, but no one was serious. No one looked serious. Because we brought in the specifics, we hired a consultant, and at the end of the day, they will give us details. They say consultant kar raha hai. It's not what consultant is doing, is not implementing that what is being given was missing very badly. Then ultimately, I thought we should educate our people. How to educate? A general education by explaining them, taking classes also won't help sometimes. If I tell them it is mandatory, you need to appear for an exam after 3 months of training, and you have to pass with so much of minimum marks. The whole scenario got changed. Ultimately, at that time, to make an accredited professional, IGPC was there actually. I told my staff actually, we sponsored from our company. We told them actually, go ahead and appear this exam. We sponsored, we registered them also. For 5 months, no one gave an exam. It was an online exam. 110 marks, 80 marks they should get, objective type, immediately you get a result. They are all typical objective type questions. So there was nothing left out, nothing was started moving actually. I also registered. I went ahead and gave an exam. I passed, then I came and told I passed. Now, whoever has been registered for that has to pass, or they should lose their, increments. If they still don't pass, they have to find an alternative job. Immediately in the next 4 months, I got 9 IGBC accredited professionals. Once they learned all these things because they had passed, they had done it, and then implementation process went on very smooth. So basically, I hope I'm exceeding the time actually. 7:50 was a break actually. If anybody wants a break, then we can take a break.
No, sir, we'll continue directly.
We'll continue, yeah. So basically, ultimately the whole scenario got changed. So our efforts and time and energy, which we used to tell people to study it, to look at, meet and we at a stage came we were not in requirement of a consultant. Everyone individually who had passed that accredited professional himself was a consultant by himself. So automatically our sustainability issues and challenges in bringing them into our projects got eliminated quickly. So the beauty of education, with of course they have to pass the exam, they should feel proud about it, whatever certificates they get, makes lots of difference in the industry actually. So So we need to look into that. Every institute, every educational institute should look into bringing this as a regular subject into their curriculum. I don't know. Some of them must have brought it because I'm not so well aware on the educational syllabus front actually. So, but I don't know, Mr. Asif, are you thinking of getting it into your regular curriculum?
I think few of the subjects I think we have in as electives, but core subjects we don't have any such topics.
Okay. I agree, but if it is brought in a core subject, it becomes more interesting for someone to take it as an elective also and explore it more further ahead. The idea is basically to make every individual aware about this. Otherwise, I gave an example just now. How exactly making every few group pass that test. With a I mean, it is a negative motivation, but sometimes a negative motivation works than a positive motivation. So it is not negative, but it is it is like one has to struggle to get that certificate. Automatically, once you do that, they will be more motivated towards implementing it at a faster pace. And I mean, that's what I'm telling. It is practicing sustainable features and being mindful about the same is most important. Mindful is basically that is possible only if one has to study and pass. He has to be mindful to understand the whole subject of all the water conservation measures, sustainable measures. I'm not touching much onto the specific technical based issues into this. What I'm giving is the overall situation and my experiences how to get into that. Other technical inputs you can get it anywhere and across everywhere, but how exactly they make the difference, what exactly is going to happen, in terms of these things. And basically all these things, we have to maintain a document and record it in such a way that so that the same thing could be converted into a booklet and handed it to the next end user. Otherwise, all our implementation have no meaning. Because during construction, whatever conservative measures we adopt, they are basically to an extent till the project is there. Afterwards, what happens? And one more thing is actually, while carrying out one more notion is basically people start thinking, it costs heavily. Bringing in sustainable measures. There is no cost. Honestly speaking, most of the products being manufactured, whether you take electricity bulbs, and you take about the water flow fixtures, you think about any product which has used recycled material. They are not. They are almost at par because 80 to 90% of the product manufacturers are using this feature actually as their marketing product. So automatically pricing is across is going to remain the same. Bringing in sustainable issues measures has no additional cost. It costs little more only if it is not taken care of in the design phase. During design phase, if all the specs are drafted properly, if the building orientation is done properly, and if the openings for air circulation and ventilation are maintained properly, I mean, it doesn't cost at all. Actually, it doesn't cost at all. So basically, one has to get into the nerves of that situation and then work onto that actually. So it is a regular practice. Automatically it gets inculcated into a system and then work onto it. Next, there's one more, I think. Over. And but the most important factor into this is water conservation, energy conservation, and waste management. These three factors are like a Brahma Vishnu Maheshwara of the sustainability. This thing. The whole challenge is not a challenge. Challenge is education. To to give in a smaller perspective, water energy conservation, waste management features, and getting educated out of that and handling it with passion actually, and bringing it into a regular curriculum definitely takes us forward in a multiple fold. Otherwise, today's date, I mean, it is like even while for a plastering material, we can always use the plastic bags whatever comes in the industry while procure material, cement bags and all those things. We can have a small machine which can cut those plastic into small pieces, use it, mix it into your plaster, and then use it into your plaster. That will also, that gets consumed. That will give a better quality in terms of managing temperature stresses and variations during different climatic conditions. That is how one should think about it actually. I mean, today's date, I'll tell you, 15 years back, while we were facing problem of getting sand, and internal plaster was a difficult challenge, we went on insisting, let us go ahead and do gypsum plaster. There was a huge resistance. That was in early 2000. But today's date, everybody uses gypsum plaster. And by using gypsum plaster, the issue is actually, your curing problem gets resolved, your sand requirement gets resolved without any hassle. We don't require sand, we don't require curing. So water is saved, our sand procurement headaches are resolved, and the sand quality is good or not. If it is having high silt, we need to filter it, clean it and use it. All that issues get resolved actually. So internal plaster, simple gypsum, and over a period of time, the cost was at that time also not high, and today's date also it is not high. So if basically, we need to be serious and mindful about how exactly we should find ways and means to reduce the multiple activities during construction and reduce the waste. That's exactly is the requirement. And coming to the I'm talking about future, when during construction, while we are planning the entire layout, the orientation of the building makes a huge difference in terms of energy, heat ingress within the building. And then use of your the products, the masonry products like clay blocks or aerated blocks will help in reducing the heat ingress within the building. So that needs to be also looked into, and that will save huge amounts of money. And normally use the external facade building has to be in white color, because white normally reflects, radiates back the heat, and automatically the heat ingress will reduce. These are all indirect features actually. Like if I'm using an air conditioner inside, if the heat ingress is high, my AC temperature I'll maintain at 18 degrees. If all these features are used, and if I use the BE rated 5-star AC unit, even at 27, 26 degrees Celsius also, I will be comfortable inside a enclosed space. This is the difference. So someone has to really do that detailed engineering, while planning the structure, while working onto the details and the design, and that needs to be integrated during execution. Actually, the detailing should go to that level, even at the terraces. When I use the in a building terrace, any construction, we should use either white paint, white epoxy paint, which is sometimes costly, or even a second quality white glazed tile. That makes lots of difference for the upper apartment. The last floor apartment, the heat ingress will reduce substantially. Normally, we all talk, last floor it's better not to take the house. The rooms will be hot. The purpose is because the top surface is not treated. And anyway, we'll be doing the IPS flooring. Instead of IPS flooring or whatever other waterproofing material which is dark, which is not white, more white in color, we can simply do the waterproofing application and use the blocks. Blocks, normally you can use AAC blocks instead of bricks, but they will also act as a coolant. And ऊपर से to radiate the heat back, which I can use straight away the white glaze tiles. That glaze tiles doesn't matter, that doesn't cost much. China mosaic, definitely it costs additional labor actually. Normal white glaze tiles also nothing is going to happen. You need not even have to bring in cement. You can apply an adhesive and fix it, or while doing the finish on the top floor for the slopes itself, it could be fixed. So these are the factors we need to look into, how to reduce all this will indirectly help in using our electric energy in a comfortable way. Instead of going on a high speed, I can go on a medium speed. Instead of going on a 18 degrees Celsius temperature, I can do it on a 26, 27 degrees Celsius temperature. These are the features we need to work towards it actually. I basically touched the issues related during construction and what material to be used, and then after post construction activities, in post construction, what all is going to be the issue, and how to get ourselves educated into that entire issue of the whole challenges of sustainable development, and how to handle it actually. Education is the basic thing. I would rather and solar energy is one more thing. Nowadays, the cost of solar energy, I mean, solar equipment products are reducing substantially. At one time, they were on a very high side over a period of time, but it pays definitely. I mean, if there's a larger apartment complex, actually, the cost is hardly anything actually. But nowadays, people again think, we need space. If we find ways and means, we get space. That is for sure. So that also, is one of the factors where we can look into it. I'm majorly done with actually. Are there any specific queries, questions from your end so that we can interact onto that?
So anyone have any queries you can ask to sir? Participant, if you have any questions, you can ask. You can unmute your mic and you can ask the questions.
You all can come on a camera.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can ask. Just unmute your mic and you can ask. Sir, out of curiosity, I'll just have one question. Like the alternative material what we are getting is a bit costlier to make a sustainable construction.
Which are those materials?
Like for my construction house, I have just ordered inquire about the Porotam block.
Yeah.
If I compare the cost of conventional brick and the Porotam block, the cost is huge difference. And
no, I'll tell you. Yeah, I understood your point. See, it is basically the location where you are using and the quantum what you are using. Okay, Porotam blocks, if it is manufactured only in one place in Bangalore.
Okay.
There is no other. There's only one company. Weinberg is doing it actually.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not available across anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That is the product. I mean, instead of porotherm blocks, if you had used the regular AAC blocks, also would have given you would have helped you a lot. Other than that, bricks, normal bricks, you leave it. Even if you use the regular concrete blocks, afterwards, over that, if you had used the proper, there are nowadays you get paints, which are temperature controlled paints. Okay, if you had used that, then automatically your cost will come down. I'll tell you, if you go for a specific product which is not available in your region, at that time, it is a different issue. Porotam blocks I have used for a 250 apartment complex. It costed less than any other product like AAC concrete blocks. And it is one of the best products. But in your case, you were talking about an individual house construction at your local location. That is why the cost it is having a specific situation actually. So there are multiple products available, and the region wherein I have to use it, and from where I'm going to bring it. I'll tell you an example. Tata's at one time were to execute housing complexes and villas at Maldives. Okay, I had heard it. I had met one of the Tata executives. I should not have taken the name, but they were talking about, because the raw material availability is absolutely zilch there. It is not available there. So they were to transport, even ship the products like sand and aggregates also actually to an extent. So at that time, alternative means was basically why not to take a precast elements and then take it and install it or ship it and install over there. So it all depends upon in which situation we are in and in which situation we are. I mean, this is one of the executives who had shared with me actually. Later on, what they did, I don't know. But it was just a discussion, while academic interest, while we are doing about this product of multi-use and everything. So, in which situation we are in, and how exact, and what is our benefit loss? But the products are available. Other than Puratam, we can find out an alternative based on these. There are two, three, four alternatives you have to evaluate and then take a call. But the one more thing, whatever you have used Puratam block, from a long-term perspective, it will save on your maintenance. Okay, individual home maintenance will be nil actually. When we compare the same maintenance for an apartment complex, it makes lots of difference actually. So I would still say actually their savings will happen. The homework is also equally important.
For long term, it will be a benefit, I think.
I mean, you end up in, you are basic. I mean, in the individual home situation is different, but it doesn't develop cracks. It's a good product. You don't. I mean, have you plastered the surface outside?
Yes,
There
sir.
was no need. There was no need. Honestly speaking, there was no need. You could have maintained that finish in such a way that even with other paints, normal paints actually, would have helped you. White color paint, it would have saved your energy. It would have given you a best cooling effect into your house actually.
But we need to take a higher quality of paint, which is again costlier.
No. There are. I'll tell you. It is basically, when you sit across with a product manufacturer, we need to understand first the technicalities of that product. Once you understand everyone is producing, there is enough saving coming out of even a white wash on a regular wall will save your energy. I mean, you must have seen any white color material will save you energy actually. It will drastically reduce your ingress of heat actually. I have a farm actually in Badami. It is a small house into the farm. It is having tin sheets above. My farmer used to say it is so much of heat is getting generated and everything. I didn't tell him. I told him once in 8 months you apply 3 quarts of whitewash onto that. He is happy actually. Nothing is happening over there actually. So basically, we have to take the subject comprehensively. Actually, that is where I would rather say, it has to be brought in as a regular course subject to understand from A to Z, and then go through it and pass the exam. Then the implementation processes will go in a multifold direction. I hope I answered your question. I mean,
yes, thank you, sir.
Yes, actually, I'm talking out of my own interest.
No, sir. It is you're sharing your experience. That is most important.
Basically, I'll tell you, I believe in the moment we share our experiences, we end up in relating it faster. And that is what we used to work on project sites. How to bring our juniors, our youngsters, and our team members, more enthusiastic is start sharing your experience, and then ask them to share their experiences. So automatically the learning process will go faster actually, and then they get into the subjects of it actually.
Even the awareness should be there in the laborers and those who are doing.
Of course,
so there's lack of awareness about the sustainable construction. As you said, about the waste and everything and the layer. What we are not using it. We are bringing the murran from the quarry and dumping it into that. And whatever the soil we have excavated, we just throw it.
Right. True. So I mean, it is. We still have a long way to go, but definitely in the next 30, 40 years, you just imagine a situation. I mean, plastic being so widely used. Actually, the same plastic could be, in any construction site you go, you find lots of different types of plastic material. The same plastic material could be reused into that. When we construct our internal roads, we can use that plastic material. No one thinks about it. We take it out and then clean that area, dump it elsewhere. Actually. So sustainability is nothing but is managing waste in general, and managing the earlier 4 features I mentioned, 5 characteristics.
Yes.
That one has to focus on those 5 characteristics.
It has to come from the student, from the academic itself, into inculcate the things into the students. So when they come out from their graduation, they have to use it, or they have to practice the sustainable construction.
Right.
Participant,
it has to go as a core subject than a regular, we can attend lots of seminars, but after the seminar, every individual has to take an interest and then study it. Only there he can implement it. But if it has to go en masse across the society, actually, then that has to be a topic by itself in terms of their education.
Mandatory subject should be there.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have some elective subjects, but few students will select.
Yeah.
If it is mandatory, then definitely student will
No,
be.
but electives normally what happens when you are studying in civil engineering, we study about all the mechanical structures and everything. Afterward, there are specific elective subjects. But if this green initiatives, though it is related to various engineering subjects we have learned, but if it is not taken from the comprehensive perspective and taught, and then if you make an elective, it makes lots of difference. I mean, no, that is how it is. And this is a topic which started sometime in 90s. Even lead started sometime in 1998. It's not an old subject like 100 years, like engineering and all those other engineering subjects. So it takes time. I mean, we are in a evolving stage, but we should evolve faster into this actually.
Most of the engineers, those are practice of traditional constructions. Only few architects and the few construction companies are those who are working on the sustainable construction.
I know that.
Thinking about,
Even implementation of new technologies is also it's extremely difficult. When I started talking about precast in 2010, actually, with various developers and other people, they were not so keen. They say, how it will work in zone 4. This thing, earthquake zone in Delhi. We had to develop that. But ultimately, we constructed, we brought the equipments from various other countries and then started developing and constructing it, and nothing happened actually. But initial resistance was huge actually, even by architects, everyone, because if no one is aware, the first thing what happens is the resisting it actually, and going, and then one has to go with the conviction at that time. The amount of money we used to save, the time used to save is tremendous. Nowadays, precast is being implemented at many companies actually, but it's still in a nascent stage, I should say. They are all the contributors for sustainability issues.
Participant, if you have any further queries, you can ask. So, sir can share their experience as well as the doubts regarding the sustainability construction can clear here. I think so. Okay. So thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable information about the sustainability construction, as well as the topic. What we have chosen is very much essential for us to inculcate in our life, so that we can save our Earth, Mother Earth. So, as a token of appreciation, I would like to present the e-certificate to Mr. Sadanand Baikot, sir. So,
thank you.
Kindly accept it as a token of appreciation. This is e-certificate from the BLDCT.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Mr. Asif, and thanks for giving me an opportunity to share my experiences and whatever I know actually I've shared. And definitely, I hope it should be of use for our entire faculty members to take it forward and spread it further in multiple ways. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
On the behalf of Coordinator Asif Momin, Co-Coordinator Dr. Anuradha Tansaliman, Department of Civil Engineering, BLDCT, I'd like to thank Mr. Sadanand Baikot sir for sharing his experience as well as the topic on the sustainable construction. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your precious time.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I can exit? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The participant, the link for feedback will be shared in the link will be shared in a chat box that will be considered as a attendance for that also. So the link will be available or active for only half an hour. At 9 o'clock, the link will be closed. So kindly give your feedback for this topic. Yes. So here I'm sharing the link. So this is the link for feedback. Kindly give the feedback on feedback link that will be considered as your attendance. Thank you all for joining this session. Thank you all.
Sir,
Sorry.
sir, where you are sharing the link, sir, in WhatsApp group or mail?
In chat box. Google the meeting chat box.
The meeting chat box. Okay, fine, sir. Fine.